All right, welcome to another episode of the Empowerment Perspective Podcast. I go by the name of Demiso Josie alongside
Spencer's here.
How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Good to be home.
Yes, we are in location. This is like a traveling sideshow almost. You know what I mean? We just pack it up and we keep it moving. So you tell the people where we are today.
Right now we're in Pleasantville, New Jersey. Lighthouse Community Church. They've been fortunate enough to open up their doors to allow us in. I have no idea if they knew actually what we were going to be talking about today, but they let us in.
That's good. Did they trust you?
They do trust me.
Do they know you're petty?
I don't think Pastor knows I'm petty. When he came in, he was like, "You still eating Mike?" And I said, "Yeah, because I'm not going to change." So yeah, he knows that I'm petty.
That's what's up. So is this me and you rocking today? Our two other co-hosts couldn't make it today, but we're gonna keep it moving. I just wanted to get your thoughts. I know we did the It Takes a Village podcast. That was the last one that we did.
Yes.
Just your general thoughts about how it went down. That was the first time you met my mother and
yes.
met Miss Carter in the community. So I guess just some general thoughts about that.
I like your mom. Your mom is funny. I think that she may need to do her own podcast.
No.
She's going to open up and she's going to tell all the secrets.
No, we don't want that.
So the man you are now, I'm pretty sure that it was some other things that nobody's ever been seen. And I'm pretty sure Ms. Josie's going to spill everything, especially if she have a tell-all book.
Absolutely. I actually encouraged her to write her book, and she said she would and tell her story, because I definitely think it needs to be told, especially from a mother's perspective, a black mother's perspective in terms of raising three black males by herself. That in itself is crazy. And I said it in the previous podcast. People ask me all the time, like, who's your hero? Like, I can't think of anybody outside of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, that the community that we come from, I just wish that everybody had that. It takes a village. You know what I'm saying? It's just so not like that today.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Everyone's afraid to get disciplined, and everyone's afraid of everybody. And we grew up in a situation where you got in trouble with Miss Carter. On my way home, I got to pass Miss Swanson and the Simmons. I'm getting beat all the way before I even got home. But it definitely taught me value respect and respect my elders and things of that nature. And it's just amazing.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was listening to YouTube the other day, and the guy was talking about, he said it was back in the year 1997. He said that he sees a huge transition in the mindset of people. And the song was made by The Lox, because me and you are both hip-hop heads. So the song was Money, Power, and Respect. And he said he had to remind people that that's not how it works. You get respect first, because without the respect, even if you get the money, nobody's still going to respect you because of how you got it.
Right.
So you get the respect, then with the respect, you get some power.
Right.
And then with the power, then you have money.
You get the money. Yeah, that makes good sense. But so what we're here talking about today, we got some special guests in the building today, and me and you are both educators, so this topic is definitely dear to our hearts, and we're going to talk about the state of education as it exists in New Jersey, because that's all we know, and that's what we're working with. So we definitely have some special guests in the building.
My guy is here.
I'll let you introduce your guy, and my lady is here.
Your lady's here.
So
okay,
you go ahead and introduce your guy.
Okay, well today I have one of the most near and dear friends to me. I mean, when I first started and I was trying to get into education, he was one of the guys who opened up the door and said, "Kareem, come on in. I'm not too sure if what's actually going to happen, but come on in, because this here is where you're going to get some of your skills, and more important than anything, this is where you're going to learn the most. So if you want to work with kids, come on in. The door is open, and you go ahead and do whatever it is that you got to do. Because I think one of his favorite quotes is, "This is where you're going to cut your teeth at." So, without further ado, this is my man, close dear friend of me, is Mr. Harvey Lambert.
Let's make some noise. We ain't got a lot of people up here, but we got some noise going on. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Okay. A little nervous, because this is the first time that I've ever done anything like that. Yeah, I'm awed by what you have here. Okay, I'm in total amazement. And it's a pleasure for me to be here, because I've been in forums like this before, but never where it was recorded and possibly to hear myself back. But I've been to plenty of forums and workshops dealing with education. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to it.
We definitely are glad that you're here. Can you just tell the people a little bit about what you do and your area of expertise is in terms of the educational field?
Okay. This is my 25th year in education in the state of New Jersey. Before that, I worked for the state of New Jersey too, just in another field. And I decided to switch. I worked for gaming, and then I substituted, and then I worked on my certifications. And then I started as being an elementary school substitute teacher in an urban school district in Atlantic City. And from there, I went to graduate school and got my certification for educational leadership that provided me opportunity to go into administrative positions. And then from there, I taught elementary school from third grade to about 7 for 5 years. And then in 2001, they formulated an alternative school. And they needed a guidance counselor, and I had my certification to become a guidance counselor. So, like Kareem said, that's where I cut my teeth at in alternative education for 13 years in 2015. Because of budgetary reasons, they closed the school. And now I'm at the main high school.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
In the city that I reside.
All right.
So my experiences it basically has been in teaching, school counseling, and school social work.
Okay. Okay. Well, welcome to the show.
Yes,
Definitely,
welcome.
Pleasure to have you on. I'm going to introduce somebody who I got to know pretty well. I had the pleasure of actually sitting in on the interview process with this young lady, and she
Wow. Okay.
very impressive. And the way I went through the process was I had to say to myself, can I work with this person? And then when I saw it, I felt like she was family. You know what I'm saying? So I had that feel like she was like a cousin to me already.
Okay.
Just the way she was answering
play
questions.
cousin,
almost.
Yeah, it's my play cousin.
And I was like, you know what? And there was another young lady, another African American young lady that had the same vibe. And I was like, at that point, I was like, I'm just going to roll the dice. It didn't matter at this point. I can't lose at this point, right? So I'm like, all right.
7 or 11 all day.
Yeah. So I kind of set her up though during the interview process, and we laugh about this all the time.
Okay.
Because I had an ulterior motive, and I had asked her a question, and she was just like, "What?" It was like a random question. I ain't gonna get into the specifics of it, but she was just kind of like, "Why is this dude asking me this question?"
Oh.
But I knew she knew the answer to it.
Okay.
Just based off of her background in the first round of the interviews, and I was trying to prove a point to everybody else at the table.
Okay.
And then when she answered that question, I was like, "I got it.
Okay.
That's the one." And then I pushed and then made sure, and she came on board. We started working together, and I got to tell you, just the love and care that she has for children, her knowledge base, and then at 2:00, it was cut loose time with us.
Oh, okay.
Because the life of an administrator, you know what I mean, you're in the fire all day long.
Okay.
And we get thrown all kinds of crazy stuff, right?
Yes.
So at some point, it's like you get delirious.
Okay.
And that point was 2:00 every day for us.
2:00.
2:00.
By clockwork.
There was no more work getting done at 2:00.
Set your watch by it?
It was, you can. You can.
Okay.
So, but even through that, we developed a closer relationship and a friendship, and it was just, it's amazing to see her work and amazing to see the things that she's doing, both inside the schools and outside the schools. And we're going to get to a little bit of that in a minute. But ladies and gentlemen, Miss Darlene DeHaan.
Thank you.
How you doing today, lady?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. And yes, we will forever talk about that wonderful question you asked me at that interview. You put me on the spot major.
I was supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. That's my job.
You wanted to see if she was going to crack.
Yeah, well, I knew she wasn't going to crack. I just had to prove to everybody else that she wasn't going to crack.
Oh, okay.
that was the point. But thanks for coming on the show. If you tell a little bit about what you're doing, what you got going on, both inside and outside the school, because we'll get together and talk about what we're doing on a bigger scale in a minute. But let the people know who Darlene is all about.
Okay, well, right now I'm a vice principal of a middle school. And I'm one of those what they call alternate routers because I didn't enter the field of education. It wasn't the primary thing. I started off as a chemist and then a forensic scientist. But I always had this passion for what was happening to African Americans and minority kids in school.
Okay.
So it always remained that focus with me. And when I graduated with my degrees, they tried their best to get me to change my mind and to not be, the chemist. And I always remember a guidance counselor coming to me and saying, "Oh, why would you put a girl like you and want to be bothered with chemistry? Why don't you be a med tech?"
Med tech.
Yes, not there's anything wrong with being med tech, but my goal was to be a chemist. So ever since then, I've been on this passage to really make a difference in the education of minorities, and especially females, African Americans, and Latinos, to really steer them into this, number one, stay in school, and number two, you can do that science. You can do that STEM career. So that led me here to where I am now as a VP. I started out in teaching math and science in an urban school, a pretty tough urban school in the area.
Okay.
Which lit the passion, but I just wanted to do more, so I went back to school. I earned 2 master's degrees in education, and started moving up. I taught incarcerated youth for about 5.5 years, and then I entered where I am now in administration, where I'm presently 2 years in and 2 years to go from a doctorate. So that's where I'm at right
Congratulations.
now. Thank you.
Good for you.
Excellent.
Good for
What a
you.
resource.
Yes, thank you. I'm trying.
Wow.
So, as you can see, we have a variety of educators, and we've all been in some shape, form, or fashion in a classroom, mentoring, helping kids, and we've had experiences outside of education too, that brings a value to these students within the classroom. So the podcast is talking about the state of education, and because we've seen it from all shapes, sizes, and colors and perspectives, I just wanted to get your general perspective of how do you see the state of education in the state of New Jersey as you see it. And I'll start with you, Kareem, because you've had a lot of experiences as well.
Well, I'm fortunate enough to see how education works within an urban environment and a suburban environment. And I guess to the listeners out there, I'll just let you know that that's really no difference. When they try to discourage students, it's really not even about the color of a person's skin anymore. It's really about rich and poor. So if you have money, then best believe that you're going to receive the best advocacy. If you don't have any money, and a lot of times they just wish you well, and hey, you've been here 12 years, and good luck with the rest of your life. You don't necessarily get the advantages or even opportunities to have any advantages. It's either you want to go to maybe a junior college or a local community college, or you're going to go into the military where you're going to be a laborer. So when you have a kid, you have to make sure that whatever it is that they're passionate about, as early as 3rd grade, you have to start feeding that passion. You have to make sure that you're communicating with your teachers, the administrators, matter of fact, everybody in the whole building. Even talk to the people that work in the lunch line, because they're just as accountable as everyone else in the building. And and I guess parents don't understand that we have them for 6.5 hours every day. And 6.5 hours a day, 100 days out the year, I can destroy the confidence of your kid. And it doesn't really take much for me to say to them every single day, and I'm beating them down. And if you're not communicating with your kid, never mind the state of education, this is about the state of families. Because families in themselves don't really have, I guess, the tools to be able to sit at the table with an administrator, a child study team, a school counselor, because they don't know what they're supposed to say and what they're supposed to do. So I think that, at least in this conversation here today, not only should we talk about the problems in the state of education, but we also have to give them solutions.
Absolutely. And we're going to get to that, because I got down here, how do we fix it? We'll definitely get to that.
Oh, absolutely.
Mr. Lambert, your thoughts on the state of education, general thoughts?
State of education in New Jersey, I see some flaws with it, and then I see some things that gives it resilience, for the students and for the educational system. The flaws is that I think it's one track. When I advise a student on my caseload, the first thing that I ask them, after you get your high school diploma and your driver's license, what is your plans? Most urban school districts, just for fluff, will try to say college or really don't say anything, like what happened to me when I was in school. I have to pipe what Darlene says, and feed on that. My father had a gas station. He got it when I was 8 years old. I worked with him from 8 to 17 years old. He gave my teachers free gas. He gave the counselor, my counselor, deals on his car, and things like that, out of common courtesy. My counselor only seen me 2 times in the 4 years, and he thought that my plans was that after I graduated, I would work with my father at that gas station, and it would be father and sons. That was the closest and farthest thing from my mind. Okay, by 10th grade, I knew manual labor wasn't for me. Okay, I was going to school tired, and I understand why they have working papers and child labor laws. My father motivated me through money and my desire to want to learn how to drive a car, but my desire wasn't for that. When I talked to my counselor and told him that I had been accepted to Clark Atlanta University, he almost fell out his chair. You're not going to work with your father? You never told me that. My question to him is, you never asked me that. Okay, so education has to not assume what a child wants, okay? And now they're pushing that they want children of color to have exposure to college. If you struggle with high school, and I know, okay, it took you great effort to get a diploma, why should I gear you to that? So what I ask students is 4-year college, 2-year college, trade school, technical school, military, or do you just want a job that you can apply for with a driver's license, have a clean fingerprints, nothing in your system, and you can get a nice check where you can live off of and have Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Okay, and it depends on the student because everybody you can't put in the same box. Education has to stop doing that. And they have to and begin to promote career technical education and vocational education because that's what the students want. Okay, auto mechanics doesn't look like what it looked like with my father. Okay, it's schools right here in this area, Camden Community College, have one of the best automotive technology schools in the Northeast. The top 10 students in that class gets an opportunity to go to the Nissan factory and Toyota factory for 8 weeks in Japan. Once you get that certification, then okay, no student loans. Okay, I make $100,000 in side money, and you still looking for a job with your college degree. Okay, so education has to move into that direction. Okay, I believe every child has the right to an education. I think that the Department of Education in this state, their intentions are good, but they need to revamp the curriculum. Okay, they need to revamp the objectives, what they want for each child, and stop dumping money and upsetting taxpayers in a hole and not getting no return on this investment.
Right. And then I kind of echo your sentiments because my personal issues with the state of education is we're trying to take this cookie cutter approach and apply it to every single school. Atlantic City looks different than Clearview Regional High School or another school. So why is the approach? Why are we approaching these kids the same way, and then approaching their studies the same way? The wants and needs in that one school is going to be completely different. What those kids want and what they need and what they aspire to is going to be completely different. I know Kareem, man, you talked about this today. Is really need to get to a space where we're designing curriculums that are specific to what they want and what they need. When in order to do that, we have to have conversations with these young people. And I think another part of the issue that I have with education is we have these adults that think they know what's best for these children without asking what these children really need from us. I know me and Kareem, we talk to kids all the time. It's like, what do you need from us? And then we try to design programs and ideas based around that, and we hit roadblocks because it's not a part of that cookie cutter program that the state or the county is telling you to go through. Darlene, your thoughts, generally speaking, on the state of education?
Well, my thoughts are pretty much that I think that we are in a state of chaos. And the reason I think that we're in a state of chaos is because there's so much being put on the plates everywhere. We did a rollout for student growth objectives, teacher evaluations, PARCC testing, and all this testing at one time instead of laying it out piece by piece. So teachers who might want to try something new aren't going to do it because they're like, if I do something new and someone comes in and evaluates me, then I'm going to get a poor evaluation.
Right.
So they're going to stick to the sure and steady. And the other teachers who, will never change aren't going to change because they're justified. But one of my biggest concerns is that nowadays we're talking about critical thinking and problem solving. That's like the catch-all words. But what's not happening in the classroom is we are not teaching the kids and giving them the value and the knowledge and the skills to become critical thinkers and to become problem solvers. So they feel like, I'm just going to give you a problem and you're going to become a problem solver. And that's not how it's done. And one of my other concerns in education is the STEM initiative. Everything right now is STEM.
The buzzword.
But there's no preparation for it. And there's this thing called the leaky pipeline.
Okay.
And what this leaky pipeline states is that kids need to follow a certain exposure to science-related, math-related fields and the K-12 curriculum so that they can go post-secondarily into STEM. But what happens, and especially with urban kids and low-income kids and minorities and Latinos, is that they don't have the funding and the monies, that the other kids can get to start them on this track. So when they enter school, they're not coming in with that experience and with that knowledge and with that I believe so. So they fall through the holes. It's like little holes in this pipeline, hence the word leaky pipeline. So they keep falling through these holes because they might not have the transportation to get to these after-school programs and or the money to pay the fees for these programs. So they're being left out. And so just sitting there saying, we have to make critical thinkers and we have to make problem solvers, that's not the thing. We have to make sure that these programs, they can get exposure all the time.
Here's a funny thing, not to cut you off. Kids like that already have those skills.
Exactly.
They already know how to solve problems. They know how to do that. It's just it's a matter of getting to them to understand how to use it to their advantage in the right way.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And we talk about this all the time in terms of the socio-economical issues and part of my frustrations, and I've taught in different schools and I've mentored in different schools, is that we have staff members who don't understand the socio-economical aspects of all their students. So in the beginning of the school year, I gave a little spiel about my story and put a picture of myself up, and from the outlook, I looked like a gang member, and people thought I was a gang member. And I had this book bag on, and one person stepped out of the comfort zone and asked me what was in that book bag, and I said, my books or whatever. But he kept being persistent about it. Truth told, I had a pair of clothes in my book bag because I didn't know if I was going to run that night because my uncle was abusing me or whatever the case may be. And then the guy showed up at the basketball court in my neighborhood. Now, my neighborhood, nobody just comes to my neighborhood unless you have a reason to be there and see somebody.
Yes.
But here's this teacher, and he didn't look like us, stepped out of his comfort zone, made me shoot 100 shots. I was like, if he's brave enough to do that, I'm going to go through a brick wall for this guy. My point was is that anytime that they try to put me into this box, I fought because that box didn't look like me.
Absolutely.
It was foreign to me. I need you to come out. I need you to meet me out here. I'll come in here. I don't have no problem. I can maneuver. I have the problem solving abilities to maneuver in any situation because I learned that in my neighborhood already.
Okay.
I just need to apply it into a different setting at this particular point. But a lot of these educators are afraid. Not necessarily afraid. Maybe they just don't know how to do it, to step outside of that box and say and be able to relate. Because it's a foreign land to them, some of them. Some of them didn't come from the background that I come from.
But wait a minute. But upon accepting the job in that community, how about at first you just walk around the community and make sure that you get a feel for what you're getting yourself into? Because again, when kids show up, they're bringing everything. From the community with them. And if you're saying to me is that the teachers don't know how, that's telling me that they haven't drove around the neighborhood to see what's going on.
Absolutely. And we talk about this all the time. And that's one of the first things I do. Matter of fact, during my interview process, before I even go into a place, I'm driving through the neighborhood. I'm going to the coffee spot or whatever, barbershop. I'm sitting there and I ain't got to talk to anybody. I'm getting a flavor of what I'm about to deal with and what I'm about to go into. And then just all right, I need to make sure that this is a fit for me, and I need to make sure I can make an impact here. Because if I can't make an impact here, I'm just going to try to find somewhere else that I need to go. And people ask me all the time, like, you ain't applying for a principal job. I'm really selective. There's jobs out there. I don't want to go to that. Those people don't. I don't want to. That's not where I need to be. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I need to make sure that situation is right. But we talking about I just don't. I don't have a problem with going over somebody's house and opening the door and going in there and just meeting with the family and bringing homework and having conversations with them. I don't have a problem with doing that.
I feel comfortable going into a $1 million home as if I'm going into a home that it may be worth $1,000. So I've been in all kind of homes. I've seen roaches on the floor. I've seen rats running around outside. It doesn't matter to me because again I'm there and I'm trying to connect with the people. So if I can't connect with a person, regardless of their social economic background, then how can I teach you?
How can you teach? Exactly.
How can I truly going to understand what you're going through if I can't stand next to you? If I can't shake your hand? If I can't give you a hug? How can I actually sit here and be honest enough to say that I can sit down and have a conversation with you about education? I first have to get past all the things that you're going through. I have to be able to sit next to you, whether you smell like Chanel or whether you smell like something else. I still have to be able to sit next to you and have a conversation with you.
And we throw those buzzwords out in education. We're educating the whole child. I said, no, we're not. Right. We're not educating the whole child because we educate maybe a quarter of them. The rest of them is at home.
Absolutely.
And if you don't understand that and you can't help those people out there, then we're not educating the whole child. I can't stand it when we say we're educating the whole child. No, we're not.
And if I can jump in on that, I think another big issue right now in our English language learners, especially Spanish-speaking kids, because Latinos, they're becoming the face of high school dropouts. They're becoming our new dropout. And one thing that struck me really hard one time was I went into a classroom and the teacher goes and says, oh, they were sitting there speaking their language, so I separated them.
Speaking their
language. Now, mind you, I'm bilingual. So I'm like, what do you mean speaking their language?
Like that's like saying you people.
Exactly. And I'm like, well, that's how they're going to communicate the best. Like you need to understand, and I think that's where you come from, that you need to understand the population with which you're teaching. And you have Latinos in your class. So I need to see some Spanish math vocabulary words on the wall. I need to see something that's making those kids feel that they're a part of their class.
Right.
But when you flag or something on the wall.
Exactly. So when you sitting there and you tell them in here you can't, I'm going to separate all the Spanish speaking kids because you can't speak to each other because I don't understand what you're saying. To me, that's no different than kids whispering in the classroom.
Absolutely.
And maybe I said, well, maybe when they're speaking to that kid in Spanish, he's asking that kid to explain it to them in a language that they can understand.
Yes.
But
simplifying it.
Exactly. But when that happened, I was like, wow, like that's a big problem for me.
I want to go back because I wanted to ask this question earlier, but what was your motivation to get into education in the first place?
Go in hard.
I'm gonna
go in hard. Go hard. He's taking a deep breath.
I guess it has to come from my childhood. Working at a very, very young age, 8, getting motivated to what money was. Okay, at 10 years old, getting paid the money of a man with a family with children, getting used to having material things, but not used to the elements that goes along with manual labor, working outside in hard conditions. If it snows, if it rains, staying up on your feet, working 12 hours. If you work the shift with your father, and then you have an uncle, and he comes to work at 5 o'clock on uniform, and he's not in shape. Okay, because Pop sent him home because he and you have a sign up that you close at 11 p.m. Okay, and you can tell that uncle gonna get sent home just like in school. You know when you're gonna get suspended and sent to the office, okay? And you just can see, I see my uncle, walking sideways, and Pop won't send him home. Me and Pop have to work from 5 to 11 o'clock. Wow. Now you have to go and get up at 7 o'clock, go to school. That's why I have an understanding for the students.
Where you go to school, Tell a story, Okay. Where you from?
I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Outstanding. I love Philly.
I'm from West Philadelphia.
Okay.
Wanted to go to a public school, but my father made it very, very clear to me that I had to go to a parochial school, not for the religion, not for the tie, but for the structure there. He went to a public school in Philadelphia and in Georgia and learned absolutely nothing. The reason why he needed me there, because he's working with $1 billion corporation, Mobil Oil. When they give him these contracts and things to sign, he don't know what he's signing because he couldn't read too well. And the reason why he couldn't read too well, not because he didn't apply himself, because my father had a lot of skills. It was the disruption in the classroom.
Wow.
And then you had teachers who did not look like him that would just sit there at their desks and let disruption start. And he made the statement, and I had empathy for my pop. He said, I don't know nothing. Now I'm going to have a son that know nothing. Now you got two dummies. So I always took my education seriously. And when I went to meetings with my father, men would be across the table in ties and suits. And they had contracts, and I could see, just like Darlene stated, that there are discrimination, and I can pick it up. And when I picked it up around 7th grade, because I always used to ask them, now you want my father to do this, a minority dealer. You have the advertisement of Mobil Oil on TV, signs. Okay, all the dealers are supposed to be the same. But when I go across the railroad tracks, City Line Avenue, okay, this dealer has something different than my father. Okay. And when I say I want to take this to the NAC president, they would say, hold it, we ain't got to go there. Okay. Once I knew I had men like that, okay, and can get them to concede like that in 7th grade, I knew my education was important. So I didn't fight about going to parochial school. I went to parochial school from kindergarten all the way up until 10th grade until my community couldn't pay the tuition and they closed it down. Okay. Then I went to public school, but that was on a week-to-week basis because my father was going to pull me out of there. Okay. And I did well there. But at the same time, I had the basic skills because it was just like my father said. It was chaos in here.
Yes.
Okay. Chaos and confusion. Teachers wasn't learning anything. And what my pop picked up, you get to work real quick, okay, after school. What time you get out of school? I get out of school 2 o'clock. Well, you down here at 2:20. Do you do any homework? I don't see no books. I don't see nothing. Okay. And education was everything in my household. Dad, can I get a pair of sneakers? How you doing in school? Dad, can I get $20? How you doing in school? Dad, can I get the car? How you doing in school? Everything was based around school. Okay, so in 10th grade, I said, I can't stay down at this gas station. My aunt from Georgia did something for me that changed my whole life, and I tell my students this. This world is bigger than this gas station. I know you motivated by that car and the money that you get, but sooner or later, you're going to get tired of this. You're going to get tired of the environment. You're going to get tired of the conditions. No one has never talked to me about a college fair, like Darlene said. Okay, I never got exposure. I never went to a college graduation. My aunt was a school teacher in Atlanta, Georgia, okay, where my father's from. She took me to Atlanta, Georgia, where she graduated from, was an alumni. They call it Clark Atlanta University. When I got to that campus and seen Spelman, Morris Brown, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta University, okay, and Morris Brown, I never seen African Americans in my life seeking an education, not fighting, chaos, and everybody getting along. I knew right then and there that that's what I had to do. Okay, and then when I went back to Philadelphia, I never told my father because he would try to stop me and to block me. I just began to save large sums of money, okay, because I knew as soon as they put that diploma in my hand from Overbrook High School, okay, in June, freshman orientation, August the 5th, I was out.
You was gone.
I was gone. And I never looked back. And the education that I received there changed my whole life. And that's the message that I want to tell students. It doesn't matter if your parents didn't go to college, okay. It doesn't matter what the educational level of your parents. What do you want?
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. And we discussed that earlier. Okay. Now, Darlene, just for the sake of it, are you Latino?
No.
No. Okay.
But my husband is, and he has 5 sisters, so I made myself learn it.
Okay. Now, Darlene,
So they wouldn't be talking
yeah,
about
I knew
it. I learned it quick, too.
you said something that kept motivating me. My feet was tapping. I thought I was going to be in church. Okay. I wanted to say amen. I'm really, really stepping out the box. 40% of the students where I teach at, counsel at, are Latino. I have a very, very good relationship, always had with Latinos, okay? Once you get into high school and you live in separate areas in Philadelphia, it becomes difficult if you don't have transportation
Right.
because you can't go to their area and you definitely can't go there. What you doing here? I said, I come to see Darlene. No. And vice versa. Okay, and that was understood. I work in a city now where it's not there. I get along very, very good with the Latino population, and especially the boys. Now, what I had to do to work out of the box, I know African American stuff. Okay, they come. But like Darlene says, okay, you got to put some Spanish up there. I can't keep on because that's not their culture. Okay. So now I asked the administration, what do you have for the Latinos? You don't have no clubs. You don't have nothing. Don't tell me about the budget. This is 40% of our population. Okay. Our administrator looked like that. What do you have for them? Now I've went to high command, the administration. Do you know we don't have this here? What? We got, no, you don't have nothing. I have put this together, and I'm hoping that it works out, because if it's not, then I'm going to challenge the powers. Okay, education is not working for all students. Okay, because they don't have no place to go to. Right. They have a Latino expo. I go to the black one. Okay. And some of them go because some of them are the same complexion. Right. But they are not my culture. They're from the Dominican Republic. They're from Cuba. Okay? And as soon as they open their mouth, then you know.
You know, right?
Okay. And I tell them what I want for myself, I want for you. Okay? And I've developed a bond, and I think the bond has gotten stronger through the organization that I go to. Every year, put about $1,000 in my pocket and enjoy myself, because this is the critical point for me in education, and this is where the disparity arises, and we're going to talk about something, school to prison pipeline. Boys of color, what are we going to do with them? Okay. I belong to an organization, and maybe we can talk about that a little later on. That'll be a topic, but that's dear to my heart. Because what I want for myself, I want for them, and somebody did it for me. Okay, so I can't forget. It's called Coalitions of Schools Educating Boys of Color. And each year we have a national conference, and we have regional conferences. And we do this, and we take it to a larger level because it's countrywide. And we have school districts, urban, Chicago, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Newark, and it goes on, and the issues are the same. What are you going to do with it?
Right.
Okay. What are you going to do?
We're definitely talking after this podcast, because I'm in my doctorate program just like Darlene.
Yes.
My dissertation is the school to prison pipeline, so we definitely going to talk and discuss all that.
So education, my aunt got me in education. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to work in an environment that was clean. separate from the gas station. I wanted an air-conditioned building. I wanted a gym.
The petroleum
jelly. Cafeteria.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I wanted to be in a position to be able to use my degree. I have a bachelor's of social work, BSW, and I always could get along with people, and I don't know if that was from working in the gas station, okay, and having to deal with customers, and that's what I had to do there, the managerial part, more than the fixing of the cars, but the managerial part, and you have to relate to customers and be able to talk to powerful men from Mobile Oil. So the skills were always there as a child, and I just enhanced them once I got the education and able to work in an environment that I feel comfortable with.
I want to touch on, because you brought up customer service, and that's one of the big things that I'm into in terms of my daily job. Dr. Kalefe, I've seen him speak a million times, and one of the things he said was he used to go visit Waffle Houses. And he said, go in every Waffle House, somebody greets you and say, welcome to Waffle House, and, somebody be with you in a second. He said, I tested this theory. I think I was in Atlanta when I saw him here. It said this, and he said, I went to the hood. I'm expecting something different. I go in the Waffle House. Welcome to Waffle House. That's
right.
So the service, no matter where it was the same. That's right. So then I got that, and I was like, you know what? Every kid that walked in my door, every parent that walked in this building, I'm giving you the same level of service.
Yes. Right.
And in my approach, I don't yell at kids. I don't scream. I don't holler. I'm going to give you the same respect that I would want myself as a child and as a parent.
Yes.
So I'm big on that, and I'm big on the school. When you walk into the school, you should feel like you go in a Waffle House. You know what you want to get.
Absolutely.
You should be greeted at the door. Yeah. You should feel like this is home to you. You should feel like this is a resource to you. And I think a lot of problems in a lot of schools I walk into, I had a discussion at the school the other day. They wanted to put up how to report bullying. Front door, you walk in. I said, that's the first message you want to send these people when they walk in this door. I said, that's not what we're doing here. So customer service and education is extremely important for the educators out there. For the parents out there, you should expect to be treated like an adult, and that's a respectable person that's coming to help their child. So that's a big piece there. I want to get to Darlene. Your reasons.
Well, mine's is a little different. What had happened, as you know, as I stated earlier, I started out in forensics. So I started out as a chemist. And it wasn't until I had kids that I actually decided that I wanted to go the educational route. I remember, first time mom, and my kids in kindergarten. And he was doing really well in school. And I remember at the end of kindergarten that he was going to first grade, which means you change school. And I get this letter that my son's going to be tested for special ed.
Huh?
Special education. So
wait,
I'm
wait,
like...
Wait. How are they going to tell you that we're going to do this to your son?
Now, mind you...
Throw you in that box.
Yeah.
Yes.
He scored the top 99th percentile on the kindergarten the kindergarten end of the year test. And I'm like, what do you mean they want to put you in like a special class? So I'm new. I don't know. I'm a new mom. And so then I remember, I'm like, okay, I don't have to inquire about this. And then he goes to first grade, and then he comes home a couple of days later, and he says, oh, Mom, I don't have math anymore. I'm not in math class anymore. I said, what do you mean you're not in math class anymore? How did I just take you out of math class? Well, it ends up being that because this kindergarten teacher had recommended him for the lower groups.
Wow.
That because he changed schools, they tested him. So he was the first group to get the test, in the beginning all the way to the end of the class. And the teacher told me that by the time she handed out the test to the last person, he was done. And her words to me were, that's when I know he was misplaced.
Wow.
So it's the first time I heard about this placement and all of these things, and that teachers, unfortunately, I don't know if she had a color issue. I can't tell you. I don't know. But that's the first time I'm hearing about this. I'm like, oh, wait, this is not gonna happen. So I really started paying attention.
Yes.
It was a rough road all the way through high school.
Okay.
For my kids, all the way through high school. My name was known in his school. When I entered the building, they were like, "Oh, Mr. Hines in the building."
Your picture's still up at there.
It's still up there.
If you see this lady, we all call on the radio.
Be like Joe Clark.
Absolutely.
Put chains on the door.
Exactly. I'm telling you. But I remember one time going to the high school. I had to drop something off for my son, and the guidance counselor said, "Mr. DeHaan, they know you're here." Because I stayed on top of it because of the experience from my son.
Wow.
So, and between that and the experiences that I had in college, where I wanted to be a pre-med major, and they're telling me, no, try to be something else, something less, that I told myself, when I have an opportunity, when I'm done, that I want to be able to do something to make a difference and not to turn those off, because I had a hard time at first in college with my chemistry. Okay, so when I tell my kids, I failed semester chemistry. I failed it. I'll tell my kids in a second, but I persevered.
Yes.
So I just told myself, when I get that opportunity, I'm going to make a difference. And then that's when when I became a mom and I saw everything happening to minority kids, especially minority males, that's when I decided I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to learn what I can learn, and I'm going to become a teacher. And that's how that process happened. But I entered education not to remain in the classroom. I needed to be in the classroom for validation to others. But I always planned on climbing the ladder so that I can make the big decisions. But it was because of watching. I mean, I watched from kindergarten to the point that in high school I had to have a meeting. My son was the only black in honors algebra 2.
Wow.
And she would sat my son up front, and every 5 seconds she would say to my son, "Are you sure you get it? Are you sure you get it?" And I'm like, "Are you serious?" And then, because I'm a math major, I would look at his test. If he forgot a negative sign, he got -5 or -10. Somebody else forgot a negative sign, they got -1 or -2. And the kids would come to me and say, "Mr. DeHaan, they're not grading your son correctly."
Not getting treated fairly.
Exactly. And that really started, just building in me that I have to do something to make a difference. And so that's why I entered education. That's why I want to be a black face in front of these kids, and Latinos and black kids, for them to see a black person in a position on the higher levels. And I talk to them, and I motivate them, and I let them know, you can do this and you can persevere. But that's one of the best roles I think I enjoy is being a VP, is because I get the opportunity to talk to the kids and try to get them to stay in school.
Yes.
And if one thing I can say, when I taught at this one high school, and I was teaching forensic science, and I always remember this, and this is my staying power when I feel defeated. I used to acknowledge those who were 4 top scorers, and I would pick 3 most improved. Now, that most improved could be maybe you got a 10 and you got a 15.
Yes.
Maybe you got a 20 and you got a 40. So there was this one kid, and his nickname was 50. And I remember that it was a classroom setting, and when I called him for most improved, I thought the boy was going to cry. I thought he was going to cry. And so my friend, who was one of the teachers, said, Darlene, I went to him and I said, how did it feel when Mrs. DeHaan named you as most improved? He said, that never happened to me in my entire life. And I thought I was going to cry, because this was the boy who was in all kind of trouble. If he went to a table and said, stand up, everybody stood up, like he was on his way to a really bad path. And he told her that changed me ever since then. And that's when I'm like, I'm in the right place, because it really impacted him. And he was a quote unquote bad boy. He was a bad, when your name is 50, let's call him 50. When your name is 50 in high school, it's not a good thing. So, my part of becoming an educator is because I want to make a difference, and I can make a difference in kids of color and Latinos.
It sounds like we're pretty much on the same page, and a lot of our work really consists of communicating at their level.
Yep.
But my question has always been is that why don't we have IEPs, individual education programs, for every student?
Every student. Yep.
So now we have the accommodations. We know the shortcomings. We know what you need. So part of that is that if we know that you need this, now we can teach it to you.
Exactly.
We know if you're interested in this, now we can guide you onto that path.
But that's called differentiation. And nobody does. I can't say nobody. Hardly anyone does. You know why? It's work.
It's too much work.
It's work.
Too much work.
But we sit in these so-called professional learning communities
Yep.
and do what? I'm be honest with you. I'm meeting out. I'm so meeting out because I sit there and I listen about and hear the same stuff over and over and over again, and it's really not current information that's going to happen. That's going to be able to help the kids. I'm meeting out.
Yeah. Or you go in there and they're grading papers.
Yes.
They're not talking about the kid. I tried to implement this data system that they can monitor data and have really productive conversations. Nope. Because it's too much work. We don't have time for that. We don't have time. We have to do prep. We have to do this. So I'm still fighting. To get it in. But the things that they need to really be discussing, they don't discuss. They rather take that time. And I don't say this for all teachers because I know some people out there going to get upset. But it becomes more of a session of talking about what's wrong instead of what can we do to make it
You're
better.
admiring the problem.
Yeah,
We know what it is.
exactly.
We've seen that. We've seen that movie before.
Everybody knows what the problem is.
And it's a shame.
I'm a little different in terms of how I got into education. My mother is a teacher, and so again, she was my superhero. So I wanted to pay homage to her. But I also realized that I believe everybody has a gift in them.
Okay.
And I said that today in my speech to the kids, that everyone has a gift in them. And I fought my gift for so long. And that's why I went to TV route and ESPN, ABC, and I was like, this just does not feel right for me. Something that's not right. So I always volunteered, always was coaching, and it just came easy. It came natural. And I was like, oh, I can mentor some people. Oh, I can teach them. And then I realized I was really on to something. I never wrote a lesson plan in one lesson plan. I would drive to work. Like, what am I teaching these kids today?
Oh.
All right, this is what we're going to do. Now, I had the luxury of creating my own curriculum because they didn't know anything about this TV thing. So no one knew what I was doing. So I went in there and said, I'm going to teach it. All right, this is what I'm going to do based upon what I found out about them yesterday. Let me figure out what I'm going to do here. So that was part of my motivation. The other part, reading my book, I was abused by my uncle, and then my father left and all that stuff. But all these men didn't have education.
Yes.
I said that must be the key. I said, if I want to be like you, I got to get my education. So I started flipping things around. So then I got to a point where, you ever see the Sankofa bird kind of goes back and pick up a nut?
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Then that's what I need to do. I got to go back
Get some.
and get this nut, carry them forward. Go back, get this nut, carry it forward. So, and if anyone can learn from my pain and the things that I went through,
Yes.
then let's do it. I tell kids all the time, and I told them today, I said, listen, I can care less if you can add 1 + 1, 2 + 2. I said, that's not my job as an educator. I can care less if you pass park. I don't really care. What I need you to do is be able to get you to a point where you can live your dream.
Yes.
How can I help you live your dream? First, let me help you find out what that dream is and what your gift is. And then all I got to do now, I'm feeding you. I'm going to keep feeding you. I'm going to keep feeding you and putting you in situations where hopefully you become successful. And every day it's just, my wife don't understand it. She's antisocial.
Wow.
She's just not that person. I said, you got to understand, like when I step on stage, when I have a kid say, Mr. Josie, I made it, that's just fuel for me. I said, that nut's already over there. I got to go get some, I got to go back. It's like Harriet Tubman. I got to keep going back and get some more people carrying them forward. Go back, keep going forward. So then I'm in a space where I'm doing it on so many different levels. Part of the reason we have this podcast is that hopefully I can go back, grab somebody, carry it forward. So that's the spirit of where I come from with my educational background.
For me, myself, it was a little different. I actually was on my way to law school. And being inside the juvenile justice system, it really turned me off as to how justice was just for just some people and not for everyone. So I made a conscious decision to say that if I'm actually going to be involved in this system and I want to be able to help people, I can't help them once they get to the courtroom. I have to be able to help them before they get there. So then it becomes, okay, what is it that you like to do? Well, I like to talk to people. I always got in trouble in school for talking. I continue to follow my dream and just keep talking to people.
Make that happen, right?
The school counseling became something that I wanted to do, and this was really late because I'm a non-traditional student, so I didn't go to school until I was 27. I was having too much fun, honestly, and school was the last thing on my mind. But that was part of because my growing up, they kept me in school year round. So, like the punishment for me was going to be in placement, me in higher classes like the advanced placement classes. That was a punishment. So they said, Kareem, in high school, they said, listen, all right, listen, you're causing too much of disruption. You in these general education classes, we'll know how to fix you. We'll move you up. So my punishment was actually going into honors and AP classes. That was a punishment that I got from my parents. Never mind the fact that I got straight F's my 8th grade year. I was having fun. So I leave high school and I say to myself, you know what? I'm not getting recruited. Then I might as well go have some fun. So I partied and partied and partied. And then I was 27. I said, oh, wait a minute. I was supposed to be doing something. What was I supposed to do? I'm in college. That's what I was supposed to do. So that sparked the return. And, I was on my way, like I said, to law school and then going inside the juvenile courtroom. And my mentor, Dr. King, he taught me so much. I said school counseling is where it is, but it leaves me with a bad taste every day that I go into the school and I can't help people because the parents aren't advocating enough for me to say that I want to help you too. I can't fight a fight by myself. I need the support of parents to come and say, this is what I want. And I'll say, you know what? I want that too. For a kid to say to me that this is what I want, you know what? I want that too for you. So I'll give you all the information that I want, all the information that you need. Like the other day, I gave a kid an ACT test. Hey, go take it. So, because she told me she wanted to go to college, how can I get there? Well, do you want to go there for free or you want to pay? I want to go for free. Okay, well, this is
how you got to do it.
You have to be able to score high on this test and you can get there.
Right.
6th grader. So now what happens is that now she has conversations with her 6th grade teachers because now there's information that she don't know. Now you realize that you actually need these people.
Yep.
They have to be able to show you the information so that you'll be able to learn it. So not only that, now what happens is that you have a why. Yes. So every day you come to school, you have to talk to your teachers. Why? Because you need this information.
Yep.
So for me, again, it's to be able to empower my young students. But at the same time, I can't forget, like you said, to go back and get people like me. So, I mean, in a nutshell, I'm there because I don't want people to have to go through the things that I went through to be able to get where I'm at.
Yep. Yeah. You touched on something, and it's a perfect segue to our discussion on the school to prison pipeline that exists. And as far as the academic world and the term, it's a relatively new term, I'm going to say, and it's a reaction to all the discipline policies and schools needing to protect themselves and things. But when I look at the juvenile justice system and the prison system, and I see that approximately 68 to 70% of the male population in prison do not have a high school education. It raised a flag for me that there's something wrong with this system. Something's broken here, and it's so deep. And the research right now that I'm seeing is on such a surface level, and they're looking at school discipline. Is that an issue? Absolutely. Our discipline policies are not necessarily effective to all our students.
So let me ask you one, because you said, what was the percentage again?
I think it was between 68 and 70%, and this was a couple years ago. Male populations that are in jail.
7 out of 10.
Does not have a high school diploma. So that tells me something.
Well, that tells me more than just something. I mean, we're past just a problem. We're at probably a critical status, like Darlene said earlier. This is getting to the point where as though that it's going to be uncontrollable. And we're not going to be able to help people. And Harv, I see you moving again, and I know you're dying to get in. But
just dive in there.
I'll say this. If we reverse that number and say that if I was a baseball player, every time I went up the bat and 7 out of 10 times I got a hit, I'd be in the Hall of Fame. I'd be in the Hall of Fame. I'd probably be the most celebrated player in the world for 70% of the time. So, I mean, to say that 70% of the people don't have high school diplomas, I mean, that really brings me back to an image of a kid that's in 1st grade and he's crying and nobody's helping him. 2nd grade, he's still crying, but now he's clenching his fists and nobody's helping him. 3rd grade, now his vocabulary is starting to increase. He picked up some words from the neighborhood, and now he's crying, he's clenching his fist, but now he's cussing you out.
Now he's cussing you out.
So by the time 5th grade comes, now he's a little bit bigger and he's stronger, and the same teacher is saying the same thing. Now what happens is that he's not even crying no more. Now he's going to punch you in the face. Now what happens is that, you just hit a school official. We're giving you all kind of criminal charges. Yeah. Because you can't hit somebody.
Yep.
But what happened in 1st grade when he was crying and nobody wanted to help him? What happened in 2nd grade? He was crying, nobody heard him out.
I say it all the time. Educators got to be a student of their students. You got to be able to read them. You got to be able to, and it's on a daily basis because it's gonna come in. They're gonna look different every single day you walk in there. And I'm gonna be a student of my student. I take it to the level. I listen to music that I don't even like because my kids and my students listen to it. I watch stuff that I don't like because my students watch it. As an educator, I have to do that.
Yes.
I have to be able to be on that same level to be able to relate to you. So when you do come in that morning and you got that clenched fist, me and you can have this discussion. Guess what? I get it. I recognize your pain. I recognize your hurt. At some level, I went through it myself. I can tell you. All right, now what we gonna do with this? What we gonna do with this energy? And redirecting that energy. And these kids, they're crying out. They ain't gonna say, "I need help, Mr. Josie. I need help." That ain't happening. But they're going to tell you in their own way. And as educators, we got to be students of our students.
Absolutely.
And specifically with our minority male students, our low socioeconomical students, they are giving you, I'm a big proponent of nonverbal communication.
Oh, listen,
yeah.
90%?
Yeah, I'll believe that way before what you tell me. Your body language is going to give it away. So I'm reading that like it's a book, and then I'm attacking that the best way I can. The frustrating part for me is I don't have the answers all the time, and then the sad part now is I look to my left or look to my right, they don't have the answers. Not because they don't have it, they don't want to have the answers, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, and if I can jump in on that, when I was working teaching incarcerated youth. And it was all boys. I taught all boys in the incarcerated facility. And unfortunately, every single one of them were African American or Latino. There wasn't one non-minority in there. And I remember one time when I'm teaching this class, and I had kids in there who were 16 or 15 reading on the second grade level, first grade level. And I remember one time this one student, and this is going to piggyback on what you were saying to me, so this one student kept calling me up. Ms. Don, I would walk over there, lean next to him and answer a question, and then go back, and then he would call me. And it was maybe the 7th or 8th time. And he went to me and he said, Mr. DeHaan, when are you going to get angry and yell at me? And I said, why would I do that? He goes, because that's what it was like in the other school. If I asked too many questions, I got yelled at. And it really struck me. And that could and so he stopped trying in the class because the teacher made it very clear, don't call me over here that many times because I'm not helping you anymore. And it's just sad. So that's what struck me. That body language, that nonverbal language, that's what she was dishing over out. So the kids were like, I would just go to school because I'm supposed to go to school, but I ain't doing anything this time. I didn't do a damn one thing.
And it's definitely an economical aspect. There's definitely an economical aspect to this too, because, and I don't want you to just people to think that it's just a minority situation. It's a socio-economical issue too, because I'll give you an example. I had a young lady who was stealing stuff out of the cafeteria. And there's little stuff, crackers and stuff like that, and granola bars, and everybody, throw her out, and she's stealing. I know, well, why is she doing that? So come to find out, there was no food in the house. She was bringing it home to her sister. So now I'm like, all right, now I need to create. Now I got to help you. Right. Now I really, really got to help you. So instead of just throwing a book at you and you stealing, now I got to call the cops and whatever, everything else. I just think sometimes educators take it to a whole nother level before they even become a student of their student and realizing what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Mr. Lambert, I see you over there squealing in your chair about the school to prison pipeline. You want to jump in here?
Take a deep breath. Then you about to go in. Then you took the glasses off.
Yeah,
then you about to go in.
Gloves off.
It's a conspiracy by the United States government to keep the Department of Corrections, the Department of Justice budget in flow. In order to do that in corrections, they feel it's better to build more prisons than schools. I've seen that. They're building prisons that look like schools, and they look like schools because they have all the modern audiovisual technologies to be able to house prisoners and to know their whereabouts when that energy should be used for school. Okay, and most boys of color are visual learners. Once you show it to them, they have it. Schools know by the 4th grade who's going to drop out. Whoever drops out, then they know they have to have a cell for it. The state of New Jersey is trying to act like that they're trying to do something about it because they have given the message, and I've been at meetings. Boys of color, we don't want y'all to push them out, and we don't want you to let them drop out. Somebody's putting pressure on them. I don't know if it's the Federal Department of Education, but I see some signs that they want to do something. So when I asked the gentleman from the state, what do you want us to do? Okay, if their behaviors are so that they're dangerous for the other students and the staff here, okay, you have to give them other forms of education, and sometimes that means pushing them out. Okay, if they come and say, Ms. Lambert, I'm through with school, I don't like this, I ain't about this, I'm going to drop out. Mom come there, sign the forms for them because they're tired. Okay, or they just don't come back.
Right.
Okay. The man from the Department of Education say, we want you to give them some remediation and some intervention. We have the money for that. Okay. What does that look like? Okay. That's in the classroom. Where I'm at, it can't be in the classroom. The teacher can't manage the classroom. The students have the classroom. Okay. This is the catchword now.
The new word, buzzword.
Okay, buzzword. Restorative practice. Okay. Now, what restorative practice looks like? It's a corrective practice. Okay, the behaviors that you're bringing to school are inappropriate. Okay, it's supposed to be done in the classroom. The average classroom teacher, it would turn into chaos. Title I pays me a nice salary after school. That's why I tell the boys of color, we got to get this right.
Right.
Okay. This is how it works. In this district here, we have two things: chain of command, protocol. Okay. I went to college. It was hard. I took the NTE, National Teachers Examination. State of New Jersey gave me a certification. I had to notarize it and said that I would defend the Constitution of the United States. So that means you got to take your hat off. They say the Pledge of Allegiance. You don't have to say it. Okay. You have to be respectful. Okay. You have to take world history and United States History 1 and 2 and to pass it. That you don't get no diploma. Okay, I have to tell you that. I don't care what your views that your parents, okay, your mosque, your church tell you about America. Okay, once America give you that free lunch, that breakfast program, okay, got to fall in line. Now, what's happening in this school here? Because everybody's good. Because Mr. Lambert gets a nice wage, okay? Blue Cross and Blue Shield. That's more important than the wage because I can get some money. But get caught out there and need a $50,000 operation, you be jammed up. You done. Okay. And they're looking, okay? Yes. Now, the reason why this school don't work, and we're going to watch this documentary about this lion pride, okay? I want you to pay close example to what this male lion do. Okay, but before we get there, because we can't pick and choose with human beings. Little boys, especially boys of color, Latino boys and African American boys, and I know that because I am that. Little boys learn from what they see big boys do. Okay, I've seen this. Now, here we go. When you go to your community, you don't see too many men like me. Okay, they get tired of you sitting on this step, doing what y'all do. Right. Honey, we got to get out of this neighborhood. The neighborhood going down. Yes. Yep. And if you come to where they live at, the cops going to stop you and profile you. With me, I can't go. I can't pay for a mortgage. Okay. I have to drive the car that I drive. Because when you get older and you accept money and you don't have your own business, sometimes people can take your tongue and threaten you with your livelihood. Okay, I don't want to be in that position. So now what has to happen, Here at this school with over 2,000 students, the chain of command and protocol hasn't been set. Okay. 16 of y'all, okay. No alternative school. Don't want us to kick you out. Don't want you to drop out. Because what I want for myself, I want for you.
Absolutely.
Now we have to establish protocol. Okay. I'm going to show you a movie about lions, elephants, and wolves. Okay. All of them pack. Okay. The lion first. That male lion right there, he's what you call an alpha male. He know how to kill hyenas. He know how to maintain his pride. He knows how to protect his pride. And he knows how to provide for this pride. Okay? If you don't have an alpha male there, then what happens is you have chaos. Okay? Boys bring chaos, men bring order.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay? Order hasn't been established here. And it's not your fault. Because you keep asking, if you were the principal, Miss Lim, you should be the principal. It's too much politics for me. Okay. I won't have a job. Okay. So what has to happen the first day that you come to school, we 9 through 12. Okay. 9th graders first. Go in there. Whoever's in charge, just like the military, okay, I'm colonel or general, such and such. Welcome to this base. Okay. You don't do nothing on your own, because when you do things on your own, men can die. Okay?
Absolutely.
You get directives, you get orders. Okay? And if you're not sure, then you go to somebody in charge to make sure this is not being established. And when you don't set order for boys of color, they bring chaos.
Okay.
And Darlene, this is no reflection on you. Like I tell the boys, it may be a man's world, but it would be nothing without a woman or girl. They need more men in the education system. The boys is listening. When they hear your voice, okay, it reminds them of their mom, grandma, big sister, okay, auntie, okay. And sometimes women of color, because of the frustration, do a lot of hollering and screaming. That's why that boy asked you, you're not going to do no hollering and screaming? Because that's what he used to. And then you get immune to that. Okay, that don't mean it. So when you go to school, she ain't going to do nothing. Okay, she just talking because he hears grandma's voice.
Right.
But when you have bass in your voice, the whole complexion changes. And you don't have to be aggressive with them. You have to tell them, okay, look at here. And like I tell them, with my people, we came over here as indentured servants, okay, to pick cotton and tobacco. When I traced my people, that's where we came. Okay. On my mother's side and my father's side, it's not a male. If we had a family reunion, who make the most money here? I would do like this. It's no male in my family that has made so much money as I make today. And it's all because of my education, my perseverance, okay? And most of all, when you got good manners, okay, sometimes that makes up for what you don't know, okay? But when you're aggressive, okay, and want to run things and you don't know how to run things, it gets all messed up. So let me be the alpha male. You part of the pack. You watch how I kill hyenas. And then you'll grow up and then you'll learn how to do it, and then nobody won't get injured.
Yes.
I have seen that is the best way to talk to boys of color, because remember, their environment is very, very toxic. Okay. The men that in the communities that they're in are not good mentors. They're not showing them the right things, and they pick up and bring that to school. And those things that they bring to school interferes with what the state wants us to do.
Yes.
Okay. Keeping the school safe, orderly, and conducive to learning. And when they bring those inappropriate behaviors to school and they're not controlled, then nobody learns. Okay. And that's why charter schools, people want to send them to charter schools, parochial schools, and anything else besides public schools, because public schools become, especially urban schools, a fuel for the pipeline. Okay, it becomes a fuel. Okay, because now you're throwing these boys out not because of their academics, but because of their aggressive behavior.
Right.
And you have to remember, like I told the boys, the teachers are not going to look like Darlene. Okay. Okay. And when you challenge Miss Ann, okay, there's going to be a price to pay. Okay. Ask Emmett Till, ask the Scottsboro boys. Okay. Things didn't change. Okay. And when I have to go and get you out of that woman's face, okay, what you doing? Okay. Your education is going to stop right now in 10th grade. Okay. No one is really communicating that, don't want to communicate that, because they know soon as he drop out of school, where he coming. Okay.
I think a big piece of that too. I mean, we got to look at the psychological element to it too. A lot of these kids are faced with trauma at home, and they're bringing trauma, that mentality to school. So when you're in a heightened state of trauma, and it's not like some people will have bad things happen to them, you'll go through that, and then you'll have a lull. And you might be able, but these boys and these kids are going, it's constant peaking of your drama every single night. So then you go into this fight or flight mode.
Yes.
I can't flight. There's nowhere for me to go.
Exactly.
So my only resource now is to fight. So everything that I see as a confrontation, I'm fighting you.
Yes.
I'm fighting you. I'm fighting you. I'm fighting you until I'm able to deal with this trauma that I'm dealing with and be able to process that. I'm going to keep fighting you.
Yes.
I'm just going to keep fighting you. So good.
Brother Joseph, I would just like to, and that was an excellent point, because that's what I deal with after school. They're trying to tell me about the community and what they face. They got to come hard. And I tell them the story, and it's a true story. My next door neighbor was a Philadelphia police officer, and he worked on the K-9 squad. Okay, and they still have the same problem. I seen it on the news. Get out of school, they go down there to the subway, okay, and they terrorize the subway, fight, anything. They have SEPTA police officers. They didn't have SEPTA police officers when I was going, but the same thing is happening. My neighbor, who my pop went to the football game with, they had season tickets. They would watch the football game on Sunday, but my neighbor, I would talk to my pop from a distance, because his job on the Philadelphia Police Department was on the K-9 squad. I seen my neighbor at the subway, didn't even pull his gun, got tired of it, took the dog out of the wagon. He ran down the subway, and that whole subway cleared out. He caught somebody, okay, by the coat, and he mauled him like a lion, okay, because he decided, I ain't scared of no dog. I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing. That dog almost took his life down here. When I seen that, it terrorized me. Okay, because my neighbor brought his dog home. He was a house dog.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My pop in there watching the football game. My neighbor, come on in. No, not me. Okay. I'm terrorized.
Right.
Yes.
And then my neighbor told me, he said, look here, man. You got to stop doing that. Okay. You too old for that. I was in 11th grade. Okay. I seen what he do.
Yes.
Okay. But I seen him right there, and he wasn't bothering nobody. I seen my pop watching the football game. This is what my neighbor told me. Okay. When I put this collar on him, okay, he cool. When it's time to go to work, I put this collar on him, and he know what he got to do. Okay. not to compare our students with that, but it's the message. You got to be able to code switch.
Yes.
Okay, once you get off that school bus, man, you got to put those aggressive behaviors away.
Yes.
Okay, this has to be a safe zone. This is neutral, and the administration has to enforce that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what's not happening. See, school has become a battleground. Okay, it's no code switching. Okay, once you get on that school bus, all that stuff is over. Once you get off that school bus, we can't control your environment.
Right.
Absolutely.
But your education is important.
Right.
And I think that the Department of Education, I think the parents, I think the community, the city fathers, everybody have to understand that about our male students. They want to learn, okay? But we've all putting them into one hole, okay? College, he ain't gonna go to college, he gonna drop out. Have you ever talked to him about a construction career? Have you ever talked to him about automotive technology? Do you know that he can take a radio apart or a cell phone and put it together in 5 minutes?
Yes.
All the technology that I know, students have taught me. They can take my cell phone and give me whatever I want. Okay? And after school programs are important because in my after school program, I teach something that I know that they desire because I desired it. Man, when you gonna get your driver's license? I know you can drive a car.
I see
Okay.
you. I see you.
I see you
I see you
drive.
drive.
But the question is, okay, and you have to be very, very sensitive with this. Can you go to the DMV, man, and turn that computer on? It's 50 questions. They say you got to get 80%. Okay. Can you do those questions? And then you have to be careful with this. You mentioned it, Darlene, especially with boys of color, because they'll kill everybody in the room if you don't handle this right. I showed them the movie Life, and I paused it when they were on the hill, Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, and they was getting mail. And Eddie Murphy said something to all of them over there. Okay, and I stopped. And I played it. And then it got quiet. Okay. Can you read?
Yeah. Yes.
Then it got real quiet. And then you individually bring them in. Look here, man. Can you read? Now's the time to correct it. You're 14, 15 years old. Don't be 35 years old with a wife and family at the car dealership. Okay. You can't read, and they take advantage of your wife and your family because you can't read the contract. Your wife wants the car. Okay. The salesman know that you're not stepping up because you're putting her out front. Knows that she just wants it, don't care. And instead of you getting a 5% interest, the man charge you 20. Okay. Don't go to a mortgage, okay, to a house. You got a man cave downstairs, nice house, whole family happy. Y'all moving out the projects. Wife got a good job. Okay, you got a nice little job. Okay, what you can handle, bringing everything is good. You get the house. You go to settlement. Okay, put it there, and you like my pop. You doing like this, looking. Instead of you getting a fixed mortgage at 7.5%, the man picked up. That you keep sliding into your wife. She's emotional. She happy. You're not picking up the papers, not asking no questions. Instead of you having a 30-year fixed mortgage, he give you a 30-year balloon mortgage. Okay.
And that packet is thick.
Oh,
Packet is thick. That packet is
okay,
thick.
and you just signing papers.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we going to deal with this reading problem? And they say, yes, I do have a reading. So we're going to correct this. We're going to get some books of high interest. We're going to get some Sports Illustrated. Okay, we're going to get some ESPN magazines. And we're going to get some music magazines. Okay, and we're going to read the words. Okay, and we're going to get some fluency. Okay, and we're going to get some vocabulary. And we're going to create a Jeopardy game with prizes out of these questions. Okay, that's on the driver's test. Okay, boys of color, that's how you have to come with them for education, because they're not going to develop a curriculum just for them, because they already have a plan for them. And it's not about education.
Well, I know, Darlene, you're going to have to hit the road soon because you got something to do. So I kind of feel like this is part A to this conversation and might be a B, C, D at some point. But I'm going, we're going to sort of pause it a little bit here. And there's 2 segments. We're not going to get to the fun part. We're going to do that another time. But the 2 segments I want to hit real quick. One is faith in humanity. Unfortunately, my man stepped out. But just in terms of, and he had mentioned something later, there's not a lot of males in education, period, let alone, Black and Latino males. So my faith in humanity story is, shout out to Mr. Lambert. It's my first time meeting him, and the simple fact that he's so passionate about kids and passionate about what he does, and it's good to see other men in this field. So that's my faith in humanity story. Before I get to today's lessons, any last words of advice and wisdom, Ms. Dahan, in terms of education, any advice that you give to parents that may be listening to this podcast?
Yeah, definitely. This is for parents, whether you're Latino or whether you're African American, or English is your first language or English is your second language. You need to show up for back to school night.
Yes.
You need to show up for parent conferences.
Yes.
And your concerns need to be greater than, did Michael behave well in school today? And you have to let those teachers know that you're involved. My mother only had a high school education, but she made sure I had more.
Yes.
And so my thing would be is that you need to show up, you need to keep in contact, you need to let that teacher know, I'm watching you to make sure you give my child either what you didn't have or what you want them to have. So the days my mother would say, Darlene, I just want you to be better and have more than I had.
Wow.
And that's what we need to make sure that we do as parents is that show up. And for those who English isn't your first language, that's fine. Go to the school and say, I need an interpreter.
Yes.
Because this year was the first year that I spoke with the principal and I said, get some bilingual kids from the high school to be present at that school, to be there to interpret. So you have a right for an interpreter. Say, I want to come, I need an interpreter.
Yes.
Same way you do for IEP meetings.
Yes.
Demand that interpreter so that they'll know you're involved.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Spence, any last words for part A?
Yeah, I mean, just what I continue to reiterate with parents, you have to talk to your kids and just listen. Because, again, educators have your kids 6.5 hours a day. And when they come home and they say, hey, what did you learn? And they say nothing. That's a problem because they should learn something. You can't go anywhere for 6.5 hours and not get anything out of it. So, again, parents, continue to talk to your kids and try to get the most out of them. Just don't let them give you that I didn't learn anything all day. You have to engage them and you have to talk to them because things are happening and they may be just telling you they didn't learn anything because they don't think you understand. So continue to talk. Engage them.
Mr. Lambert, any last words of advice for parents that may be listening to this podcast?
Well, we have to work with what comes to the door. And what comes to the door at my particular school where I'm at is female head of household mothers. We have to be a little more friendly with them. We have to understand some of the frustrations that they go through. And we have to be able to provide them also with some help. Because when they're frustrated, their children are frustrated. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to be able to ask them, what are your frustrations so that I can help your child? Wow. And most of the time, the frustrations that they have, they're overwhelmed. Okay. And you have to begin to engage programs in the school like Title I that has monies for those particular things to gear them to support services. And then once you can stabilize the parent, and it's mainly the mother, okay? I don't see too many fathers, and that's very, very sad, okay? Once you stabilize the mothers and express to them the value of education, especially with their sons, then I think the process will begin to improve. Mm-hmm. But we have to be able to bridge that gap between school and family is single female headed household.
Gotcha. So to close out this, I'm going to do a today's lesson, and I'm going to call it that opportunity is the gateway to success and education. And this goes out to parents as well as educators, because parents, you are the first educators of your children, and you need to understand that. Obviously, you probably do understand that. But our job and the power of education is about creating opportunities, and that's what education can do for you. It's not going to guarantee you a job. It's not going to guarantee you a six-figure income. But what it can guarantee you is an opportunity. The greatest gift that you can have and the greatest power that you can have is to create opportunities for your children, and then instill in them the values to make the right decisions. So once you give them that opportunity and expose them to the world, the sky is really the limit for them. But we have to be able to create that opportunity. Opportunity, again, is the gateway to success. I thank for everyone for listening. This is part A. We'll see you on part B, and stay empowered.
Yes.